Yo, what is going on YouTube? This is your boy Kamen Zero Sprite back again once again today, people. Today we are going to do a top 5 video, which are my top 5 favorite Kamen Rider of all time. And this is my list, this is my opinion, this is my 5 favorite Kamen Rider. You guys let me know down in the comment section below what you guys think, and also who are your top 5 favorite Kamen Rider. It doesn't matter if they're what era they're from, doesn't matter, the secondary writer, obscure writers, you know. Give me all your favorite writers down there in the comment section. And hey, these are my 5, this is my opinion, and hey, let's get started. We're gonna get started with number 5, which is Kamen Rider 01.
Henshin!
Probe rise! A jump to the sky turns to a rider kick.
Man, I love this series. The first Kamen Rider of the Reiwa era of writers. Now, this series had its ups and downs for me. This series was very, very cool. I love the aesthetic. I love that it was based on all the different technology and things like that. The whole robot thing and the whole robot uprising type story that we had going on. We had literally a team of freaking robots who wanted to just be free. Freaking Metsubo Jinrai, man, that boy Hirobi, and a lot of other writers in this series. Well, also we had writers in here that weren't even human. We had writers in this series. Yeah, a big group of writers who in this series who weren't even humans. I mean, I know that's happened before, but I think this is the most we've had writers who weren't even humans, and it was actually really freaking cool about that. I love the belts, especially. I loved all these belts. I love the belts. I love the Progrise keys, Zetsumarise keys. I love the henshins, you know. I really love the henshins. I love the sounds. It was just the aesthetic wise, 01 was really freaking cool. I love the aesthetics. Character wise, like the characters had ups and downs for me. Especially Yaiba, she did make me like really. I didn't like Yaiba for a while. I didn't like her for a while. Fua was an absolutely awesome character. He was hilarious at some points, but he was a awesome character. And I did love his solo stuff as well. His solo movies that he got, which made him pretty freaking powerful, man. You know, the Wolf Rider was the Wolf guy, the Wolf aesthetic, the Wolf Rider whole thing was really freaking cool. And all his forms look dope. All his suits look dope. Audito was that guy, man. He was that guy. He was the hero. Like, he had a big hero kind of complex. But when he became Arc, when he became like the main villain of the series, or at least possessed by the main villain of the series. Overall, man, like when he was Arc, like, he was so freaking cool. Like, I wanted them to beat him. I really did. I wanted classic Audito back, but man, like, when he was Arc, I felt like you guys basically you basically had the main character go through so many bad days where he was just like, nope, I'm going full on anti-hero, full on bad guy, which was actually pretty freaking cool. And his Arc forms, like his 01 like Arc forms, were actually a little bit cooler than his regular freaking forms. But my favorite form in this season was Metal Cluster Hopper. I feel like Metal Cluster Hopper was like his coolest form. I mean, 02 is cool, Assault Hopper is cool, you know, 02, you know, like his other forms was pretty dope, but Metal Cluster Hopper was just his most and coolest, most savage form that he ever had. And with that being said, guys, number 5 is Kamen Rider 01, and we moving on to number 4, which is Kamen Rider Build.
Are you ready?
Henshin!
Kamen Rider Build, man. This was almost my number 1 at least, but number 1 tops all of these. But Kamen Rider Build, I love this series a lot. I love that it took place in basically like another universe. Essentially, it took place from another universe separate from the regular Kamen Rider universe. Even had a whole movie about it. You know, he met up with Exade. But this was an amazing freaking movie. I loved Banjo. Banjo was like my second. Was like he was my favorite character of this series. Dragon Rider got awesome forms. He had great development. And I love the dynamic he had with everyone, especially with Grease. Like I loved he had a great dynamic with Grease. He had a great dynamic with Sento. Like he was just a cool, pretty good, well-rounded character. Yeah, he had his flaws, and he did have his like annoying moments, but he was pretty funny at some moments. And he also had that hero kind of complex where he was like, I'm fighting to get my girlfriend back and stuff like that. And the whole thing about his girlfriend being like his power was actually pretty freaking cool. And I did like how he was. We knew this guy. When you looked at him, you knew he was going to become a writer at some point. Like you knew it, because he just fit the mold. He fit the build to be but he fit that mold to be a Kamen Rider. And all his fights were pretty freaking dope too. His design was pretty cool too. I love when his Clash driver form, when he used a different driver, that had to be like my favorite form of his. That had to be my favorite one. I mean, I knew he had Cross Magma and stuff like that. Cross Magma was awesome, but his Dragon Cross form, man, it was my favorite form. I love the aesthetic of it. I love the ultimate attacks of it. It was just super. It was like the silver and all of that fit so good together. And then Sento was that main character. I love how this guy was basically like a Tony Stark of Kamen Rider. Your boy made all his stuff. Like all his stuff he made. Like you could see him in a lot of scenes like sitting down making the guns and the swords and the weapons and the suits and stuff like that, which was really freaking cool. And actually getting to see all that stuff in action was so dope. It was so dope. I loved Sento. I love how smart he was. He was basically a freaking genius. The guy was a physicist, you know, for the military. And I love he was so freaking cool to me. Now, when it come down to Crocodile, man, that his whole arc of him becoming a writer, I knew this guy. He you know, we always got to have the edgy guy. You know, we always got to have the edgy guy, and he was the edgy guy. When he first became Crocodile, when that form, look, I hate the color purple. I really freaking do. I despise this color with a passion. But when that form was announced and he was shown in it and actually doing so much, like Rogue was like he felt like an evil writer. I mean, at first he wasn't evil, I would say, but he was really like a really cool aesthetic looking writer. His powers, his ultimate attack, stuff like that. Like he was overall like a really good freaking writer, and I loved every second of seeing him fight. Even if he was beating the crap out of a lot of our heroes, he was pretty freaking cool. Every moment he was dope. Grease, that was the homie. Grease was the homie. He was the funny guy. He was the guy that was all about protecting his people, protecting his side of Japan, his sector, and it was a lot. Like he went a long time, man. He went a long time without getting any forms, but he did. He got 2, which is dope. If you don't know, he got a second form in the movie, but that form, absolutely freaking gorgeous form. But man, and Grease's death, come on, man, beautiful. It was not beautiful death, but man, like when your boy went down, he went down fighting, and it was absolutely freaking awesome. And the ending to the series was anticlimactic. I mean, like the whole world changed, but you know, it was pretty freaking cool. And I don't know, Evolt was still alive at the end of the series. Like he was still alive. Like I think it was one of the first like Rider series where like the bad guy the final boss like truly didn't die. Like he was just around technically. But yeah, then we got another movie where they fought his brother. Like it delved more into his species or what he was, and he was a broken rider. He was so broken. Like he won a lot. He beat them a lot. Like, you know. But that's number 4, which is Kamen Rider Build. We're gonna move on to part, we're gonna move on to number 3, which is Kamen Rider Gaim.
こうかオレンジって俺
Now, Kamen Rider Gaim. Man, everybody thought this series was gonna be stupid, man, because it was based off of fruits. But you made Fruit Samurai. Like, Fruit Samurai was actually pretty. It was a funny concept, but it was so freaking cool to me. And I love how this series was. It started off pretty kind of kiddie, but as it went down the line, it got kind of dark, and it it got kind of dark and kind of edgy. But the characters were pretty cool. Michi. We'll talk about Michi. He redeemed himself. He's cool now, I guess, if you think that way. But man, this was an awesome series as well. I love samurai. I love anything samurai kind of based. So you gave me a Kamen Rider that was a samurai. I mean, he wasn't based off of my favorite fruit, but then eventually you did give me my favorite fruit, which is the pineapple. But man, he was pretty freaking cool. Kota, pretty freaking dope. Every time I see anything like Kamen Rider Gaim based, I'm watching it. I'm checking it out. Because this series was so freaking cool. And it came out the year I graduated high school, which was dope too. But man, I love the characters. I love the aesthetic of everyone. Like, everyone would look pretty cool. I mean, yeah, there were characters that looked pretty freaking bulky and kind of weird looking, but you gave like shine to a lot of characters. And this series has a lot of writers. This series has, like, in this just in the show alone, it had a lot of writers, which were all pretty cool. And then, everybody was pretty dope. And you kind of, I never thought I'd look and see I never thought I'd look and see a pine cone based Kamen Rider, or a durian based Kamen Rider. Like, it was pretty cool, and like showing that Kamen Rider can basically make anything kind of rider based, like anything kind of like Kamen Rider based, and it was actually pretty cool, and they proved that. So that's number 3, which is Kamen Rider Gaim. We're gonna move on next to number 2, which is Kamen Rider Forze.
なんだかわかんねえけど、宇宙式だ!
Man, what can I say about Kamen Rider Forze? Kamen Rider Forze was the second Kamen Rider show I ever watched, and he was so cool to me. He was all about that friendship, stuff like that. He was all about space. I love things I love space. Like, I love things that are space themed, stars, planets, galaxies. It's all super beautiful to me, and Forze was that. Like, Forze was space. He was that aesthetic that I really freaking liked. Yeah, he was heavily technology based. Well, all the writers that so far are heavily technology based, but the whole story pretty much was it wasn't perfect. Like, none of these, I'm not saying any of these series are perfect. I'm saying they have their ups and downs, because no series is 100% perfect. But this was absolutely one of my favorite stories that were told, and I love his friends. I love how all his friends were all involved in his writer stuff like that. Like, they were all this big support group fan club of his, and they all did something. Like, they all had a purpose in this series, in the team and stuff like that, which is actually pretty cool. I love like how they kind of brought everyone together for him. He wasn't by himself just doing stuff. He had like a good support system behind him. But all right, excuse me, it's time for number 1. The man, the myth, the legend, the guy who has his underwear hanging on a stick. That boy, Kamen Rider O's.
変身
Kamen Rider O's is my number 1 favorite Kamen Rider, and I can't tell you how happy I was when we saw the 10-year movie that came out. Movie was pretty. In my opinion, it was kind of short. I felt like it should have been a little bit longer. But man, Kamen Rider O's is like, was the first Kamen Rider series I ever watched. He was the first one I watched from beginning to. Well, I have seen other writers, but a lot of other writers, but he was the first series that I actually sat and watched. And before I became like a really big tokusatsu type fan, I would just like, you know, when I first got introduced to it, all I did was just watch, you know, movies. I would just watch their movies and stuff like that. Then I'm like, I'm gonna watch the actual freaking series. I know these characters, I know these forms, I know the stuff that's going on, I know the premises of it. And yeah, man, like he is and will always forever be my number one favorite Kamen Rider. Eiji was basically me. Like I related a lot to Eiji, and what made it cool was just his whole like personality. Like he was a selfless, kind-hearted dude. All of my favorite writers are selfless, kind-hearted people, but Eiji was that guy, man. And even though you were best friends with essentially a freaking demon thing, which was Ankh. We all love Ankh. He's a pretty boy. But even though you still treated him like he was a person, even though you guys kind of got in a lot of arguments and stuff like that, it was awesome. And I love this freaking series to death. I would rewatch all of O's all the time. All these Rider series I would rewatch all the time. But yeah, guys, Kamen Rider O's is my number one favorite Kamen Rider. Like I said before, guys, you guys let me know down in the comment section below what you guys think. Who are your top 5 favorite Kamen Riders, or even your top 3, your top 4, top 2, top 20? You know, we got enough writers for that. But I'll see you guys next time. Make sure to like, share, subscribe, hit that notification bell, and remember, as I always say, stay henshined.